Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue. Merci de nous rejoindre pour notre rendez-vous de presse quotidien. Nous sommes aujourd'hui le vendredi 8 mai 2020. Nous avons une assez longue liste d'annonces à vous faire en cette fin de semaine. Je commence avec l'agenda de la présidente, comme d'habitude. Donc cet après-midi à 2 heures, la présidente parlera au Premier ministre britannique, M. Boris Johnson, au téléphone pour faire le point sur la situation en ce qui concerne la crise du Covid-19. Elle rencontrera la semaine prochaine Laurent Berger et Luca Vicentini, président et secrétaire général de la Confédération européenne des syndicats, ETUC, aussi par vidéoconférence. Mercredi, la présidente présidera bien entendu la réunion du Collège des commissaires avant de se rendre au Parlement européen pour la session plénière du Parlement. Then today, on the 8th of May, we commemorate 75 years since the end of World War II in Europe. As the number of people who lived through the war becomes smaller, we need to remember their stories and our shared history. President von der Leyen tweeted this morning, "For me, as a European of German nationality and Commission President, the 8th of May marks a decisive moment in the history of humanity. For Europe, this day stands for the end of a cruel war caused by the Nazi regime and the liberation from its darkest hours. It also represents a turning point for the fate of our continent. I'm grateful that we have our European Union today, never again." Then tomorrow, 9th of May, is Europe Day. This year it will be a bit different from what we are used to, but it shouldn't prevent us from celebrating important milestones. The 70th anniversary of the Schuman Declaration and the 25th anniversary of the accession of Austria, Finland, and Sweden to the EU. The European institutions will mark the day together by celebrating European solidarity and unity with an online campaign. The President, as well as all commissioners, will be active on the day and engage with Europeans through video messages, social media, via the hashtag Europe Day, online debates and interviews. Ahead of Europe Day tomorrow, the European Commission is today awarding the Jan Amos Comenius Prize for high-quality teaching about the EU. The prize aims to encourage, reward, and provide recognition and visibility to the work of secondary schools that teach about the European Union in an inspirational and engaging way. It goes to 22 schools from across Europe for their teaching and learning about the origins, values, and functioning of the European Union. The full list of the awarded schools and more information are available in our press release. I now call Stéphane, who is connected, for an announcement on the delivery of a first batch of 1.5 million masks from the 10 million purchased to support EU healthcare workers. Stéphane.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Hello. So over the coming days, 1.5 million medical masks will be delivered to 17 member states and the UK to protect healthcare workers against the coronavirus. This latest EU masks delivery is part of a new Commission-funded purchase of 10 million masks via the Emergency Support Instrument. The aim of this instrument is to provide direct support to member states to mitigate the immediate consequences of the pandemic and anticipate the needs related to the exit and recovery. 10 million masks will be delivered to member states and regions in need in weekly installments of 1.5 million masks over the coming 6 weeks. These deliveries take place on top of the hundreds of thousands of masks already provided from the rescue reserve of medical equipment in the past weeks. You will find more info on this in our daily news. Thank you.
Merci Stéphane. J'appelle maintenant Balázs pour une annonce sur l'aide humanitaire pendant la crise du coronavirus.
La Commission européenne a procédé à la mise en place d'un point aérien humanitaire en vue du transport de travailleurs humanitaires et de l'acheminement de fournitures d'urgence. Le projet se focalise sur certaines des zones les plus critiques au monde dans le cadre de la lutte contre le coronavirus. Janez Lenarčič, donc le commissaire chargé de la gestion de crise, s'est rendu aujourd'hui par le premier vol à Bangui, où il rencontre le président de la République centrafricaine, le président Touadéra, ainsi que des organisations humanitaires. Le premier vol de l'Union européenne, assuré en collaboration avec la France, est parti de Lyon avec à bord 60 travailleurs humanitaires provenant de diverses ONG et 13 tonnes de frais humanitaires. 2 autres avions de frais humanitaires s'embarqueront au cours des prochains jours avec au total 27 tonnes supplémentaires de biens humanitaires. Dans l'autre sens, les vols effectués via le pont aérien permettront aussi de ramener les citoyens de l'Union européenne et d'autres passagers depuis la République centrafricaine dans un effort de rapatriement.
Thank you, Balázs. Let me finish with the agenda for today in terms of video conferences. Executive Vice President Dombrovskis and Commissioner Gentiloni will represent the Commission at today's Eurogroup video conference, which will discuss, among other items, the Spring 2020 economic forecast and the European Stability Mechanism's pandemic crisis support. You can direct your questions on the Eurogroup to Commissioner Gentiloni, who will, as usual, participate in the press conference which follows the meeting. Then at 2 p.m., the Commission is convening the weekly video conference of Home Affairs ministers in the context of the coronavirus crisis. Commissioner Johansson will discuss with ministers measures at both internal and external borders and exchange views on the way forward. One of the subjects will be the temporary restriction on non-essential travel to the EU. On this topic, the Commission is also set to adopt a communication this afternoon after 5 p.m. and will notify you as soon as this is available. And with this, we are ready to take your questions, and we will go immediately to Krzysztof for the first question.
Thank you. Christopher Strzenka, Polish press agency. I have a question to Stefan, whether he can tell us which member states will get the mask, which 17 member states. And the second question about the border, if I may now. There are reports that Poles living, for example, in Austria or in Hungary cannot cross the border, cannot even transit through the territory of Slovakia or Czechia. Is the Commission aware of the situation? Is the Commission going to do something with that, as the countries are relaxing restrictions and people need to get back to work or they want to visit their families? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Stéphane, the first question is for you and the second for Adalbert.
Yes, hello. Well, maybe first thing to say as to which countries have received these masks. We have followed a scientific methodology developed by the ECDC for the allocation, indeed, of these different masks, taking into account elements such as epidemiological data, needs of the countries, and the access to equipment. As I said, 18 countries will receive these masks. There will be several batches of delivery. So I can go through the whole list of all the countries if you want to, or I can do this bilaterally. It's as you prefer.
Name the countries, Stéphane.
Okay, very good. That will be UK, Austria, Poland, Malta, and Cyprus, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, the Netherlands, France, Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Hungary.
Okay, thank you very much for that. The second question is more for Adalbert. Adalbert.
Hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Perfect. So indeed, according to the information we have, Poland currently only allows entry to Polish citizens, EU citizens, and third country nationals who reside in Poland, as well as freight and passenger transport drivers and other exceptional cases. And indeed, as we have made clear in the guidelines that we adopted on the 16th of March regarding border measures, to protect health and keep goods and essential services available, member states must always admit their own citizens and residents, but also they should facilitate the transit of other EU citizens and residents who are returning home. And we also emphasize in those guidelines that all border controls should be applied in a proportionate manner and, of course, with due regard to people's health. Now, we urge all member states to follow these guidelines. We therefore expect Poland to facilitate the transit of EU citizens returning home, also in light of the endorsement of the Commission's guidelines by heads of state and government on the 17th of March during their video conference. Now, what we are doing is, of course, we keep working with all member states to help bring about a coordinated approach, including through regular video conferences at technical level and also at ministerial level, including also the one taking place this afternoon, as Eric referred to.
May I have follow-up?
Yeah, go ahead, Christoph.
Yeah, I was asking about the border between, for instance, Hungary and Slovakia for Polish citizens living in Hungary, as people are complaining in the social media they cannot cross the border, Hungarian Slovak border to go back to home to Poland. They need to travel around the German territory. So yeah, my question was referred to those countries, to Czech and to Slovakia, whether they allow Polish citizens, for instance, Polish citizens to transit throughout their territory.
Go ahead, Adalbert.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I apologize for the misunderstanding. In fact, I had a little technical problem, so I couldn't hear the full question you asked originally. But what I said applies exactly in the same way to other member states and to the transit of Polish citizens through their territories. The situation is exactly analogous, and we would equally expect all of these other member states to facilitate the transit of citizens through territories.
Okay, thank you very much. I see a certain number of hands raised. Would it be on this subject? Would it be questions for Adalbert or Stéphane? If not, please unraise your hand for the moment. And then, okay, I see that Christian Spielmann has his hand raised. Christian, tu as une question pour Adalbert ou pour Stéphane sur la crise coronavirus?
C'est une question pour Adalbert, vous m'entendez?
Oui, on t'entend très bien. Vas-y, Christian.
Bien. Hier, le gouvernement français a annoncé qu'il maintiendrait les fermetures Schengen françaises fermées jusqu'au moins le 15 juin. Compte tenu de la position de la France, qui veut dire que le nord et le sud sont complètement bloqués, on ne peut plus traverser la France. Alors, je voudrais savoir si c'est une mesure qui vous paraît normale, si ce n'est pas excessif, si c'est proportionné. Ensuite, je voudrais rebondir un peu sur la question des doléances des Polonais qui ne peuvent pas passer en Hongrie ou en Autriche. On a à peu près les mêmes problèmes au niveau de la France. Pour rentrer en France, il faut des autorisations, donc il faut remplir une espèce de laissez-passer qui a des conditions relativement strictes. Et il y a des mesures de quatorzaine qui ont été édictées par un certain nombre de pays. Est-ce que vous pourriez nous faire un point sur le nombre de pays qui édictent ou qui imposent une quatorzaine aux ressortissants de l'Union européenne dans l'espace Schengen? Merci.
Alors, Adalbert.
Très bien. Donc, plusieurs aspects à votre question. Premièrement, effectivement, il y a énormément il y a beaucoup d'États membres qui ont pris différentes mesures aux frontières afin de contenir la propagation du virus. De notre côté, je pense qu'il est difficile pour moi maintenant de me prononcer sur la proportionnalité de chacune de ces mesures individuelles. Ce que nous avons fait du côté de la Commission est d'adopter un certain nombre de lignes directrices sur différents aspects de cette question, à commencer par les orientations que j'ai déjà évoquées, adoptées le 16 mars, mais il y en a eu d'autres aussi sur différents aspects, tels que les travailleurs saisonniers, par exemple, ou la mise en œuvre de l'acquis migration et asile. Et nous travaillons avec les États membres pour avoir une approche de plus en plus coordonnée, de plus en plus cohérente au niveau européen. Et donc, aussi dans ce cadre, comme je l'ai déjà évoqué, la question des personnes qui transitent à travers le territoire d'un État membre pour retourner chez eux ailleurs en Europe est particulièrement importante et elle a une place particulière dans les orientations que nous avons adoptées. Alors ensuite, pour ce qui est des mesures de quatorzaine, ce ne sont pas des mesures qui sont strictement dans le domaine des affaires intérieures. Il s'agit de mesures qui sont prises du point de vue juridique, en tout cas plutôt sur la base de la législation, des législations nationales concernant la santé publique. Ceci dit, nous avons un site web sur lequel nous recueillons des informations sur différentes mesures que les États membres prennent concernant le transport à la fois de voyageurs et de biens. Et sur ce site, nous avons également quelques informations à ce sujet. Donc, je vous enverrai avec plaisir le lien où vous pouvez regarder tout cela.
Gillian, I see you have your hand raised, so I suppose it's either for Adalbert or Stéphane. You have the floor.
Hi, yes, my question is for Stéphane. I'm wondering about the status of some of these procurement efforts, because the Health
Sorry,
Commission.
Gillian,
Yes.
we cannot hear you very well. Perhaps if you can adapt your microphone a little bit, if that's the issue. Try again.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Is this okay?
This is better. Yes, thank you.
I was wondering because Stella Kyriakides, the Health Commissioner, had said that they've received very few orders for the joint procurement, but member states have been able to order protective gear since April and mid-March for ventilators. And I was wondering which countries actually placed those orders. You heard that question.
I don't know, Stéphane, if you have understood the question because it was quite broken up, but I think the issue was on procurement of masks. What can you say on that?
Well, indeed, overall, the orders for the personal protective equipment could be placed from April already, allowing member states to access a very scarce market of products with better conditions. I will not go through the state of play of all the different procurement processes. As the Commissioner said, most framework contracts have been concluded in the course of April. The signature of these framework contracts is the starting point that allows member states to place orders. We know that member states are working on placing these orders. We know, for instance, that Luxembourg has placed an order for gloves and Belgium an order for masks. Latvia has placed an order for goggles and masks. But this, I would say, now the ball is in the camp of the member states and the suppliers to place these orders. And we invite the member states, obviously, to keep us informed about this state of play.
Thank you, Stéphane. I see no further hands raised on this issue, so we can move to other issues. And I had Patrizia on my list. Patrizia
Good
Antoni.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. Thank you for the floor. I have a question on Libya, so it's foreign affairs.
Okay.
Al-Sarraj today in an interview criticizes Operation Irini, claiming it is only helping Haftar. So I wonder if you have something to say on this. And I also would like to know if you have something to say on what is going on regarding the conflict on the ground. Thank you.
Okay, Peter.
Good afternoon to everyone. Regarding the second part of your question, you are probably referring to the latest incidents of shelling in Tripoli yesterday. Is that true, Patricia? That's the one you have in mind?
Yes, Peter, this is what I have in mind. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would just like to stress that we are condemning this very strongly, this latest series of indiscriminate shelling and attacks against civilians in and around Tripoli, in the neighborhoods which are populated by civilian population. This is unacceptable. And we understand that also the area very close to the Italian embassy was hit, and we express our solidarity with our Italian partners in this. And yet again, we underline that any kind of indiscriminate strikes which are targeted at heavily populated areas are unacceptable, and they run counter to the basic principles of the international humanitarian law. This incident and yet again underline the need to for all the parties and all the actors in the conflict to agree on a ceasefire, sustainable ceasefire, and restarting the political talks. So this is really necessary for Libya to be brought back to the stability and to embark on the political way how to solve issues. When it comes to the first part of your question, this criticism is not new. It's been repeated by certain Libyan representatives several times. I can only say that Operation Irini is a concrete example how the EU wants to contribute to the peaceful settlement of the conflict in Libya. Operation Irini has for its task or has mandate to contribute to enforcing the UN arms embargo in order to prevent flow of weapons to Libya, weapons which are feeding this conflict. For this, we have the agreement and mandate by the 27 member states. This is what member states agreed. They agreed to launch Operation Irini with the mandate it has. And the mandate is indeed to enforce the UN arms embargo, not making differences. I mean, if there is UN arms embargo, we are going to contribute to enforcement of this embargo and preventing the flow of weapons to Libya. We have naval assets, aerial assets, satellite assets. The operation is operational actually in these days. First assets started to operate and to work. And what we are doing is also in line with the decision by the Security Council and the relevant Security Council resolution. So this is an operation designed by the EU, which has a very clear mandate and the task to prevent the flow of weapons to Libya and contribute to a political solution.
Can I have a last question on Libya?
Of course, go ahead.
Thank you. So basically, Peter, what you're saying is, given the fact that they are blocking the flow of weapons to Libya in general, is not favoring Haftar. It's doing a task for everybody. Yes.
Of course, this mission was designed in order to provide EU's contribution to enforcing the ceasefire or to create conditions conducive for the ceasefire and eventually for political solution. And since this is operation which operates within the remit or within the mandate actually also of the Security Council resolution, it's obvious that the main task is to prevent illegal arms flows into Libya. And then, of course, I mean, illegal export of oil and other secondary tasks. But when we are talking about the weapons, that's the EU's contribution to enforcement of the UN arms embargo.
Thank you. I only see, I see two hands, more hands raised now. I would like to finish off on the issue of Libya. Would there be other questions on this? If not, we would go to Lawrence, but let me check. Christian, est-ce que ta question est sur la Libye?
Oui.
Est-ce que ta question est sur la Libye?
Oui, absolument.
Alors vas-y, Christian.
Peter, ma question est assez simple. Je ne sais plus, j'ai perdu le décompte de vos appels à l'arrêt des combats, au cessez-le-feu, à tout ce que vous voulez, à toutes les condamnations. Je sais qu'effectivement, M. Borrell dit que oui, on n'arrive pas non plus à sortir des mots. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il faudrait pour que ces appels qui se multiplient soient concrétisés? Et qui a les moyens de faire pression sur les protagonistes? Et ma deuxième question, on a des rapports qui montrent qu'il y a des mercenaires russes qui combattent en Libye. Il n'y a pas un moyen de demander à ce que ces gens quittent le territoire libyen? Est-ce qu'on est impuissant et condamné à constater la poursuite de ces bombardements aveugles sans jamais arriver à les faire cesser? Je sais que c'est une espèce de réflexion, mais quand est-ce qu'on arrivera à sortir de ce discours qui est on condamne, c'est inacceptable, c'est pas bien, et puis après, point barre, on passe à une autre question?
Bon, en bref, la condamnation publique, c'est une part des activités que nous faisons, mais il y a aussi beaucoup d'activités diplomatiques qui sont faites régulièrement, chaque jour, chaque heure. Et que nous disons, c'est l'importance du processus de Berlin sur les guides ou sur les auspices des Nations Unies. C'est probablement la meilleure plateforme, le meilleur forum pour discuter et faire les décisions, faire les pressions, faire les négociations avec tous les partenaires qui ont de quelque manière influence et aussi relation avec les parties de conflit en Libye. Donc, très brièvement, le processus de Berlin, c'est une plateforme pour essayer de discuter les choses et faire le mouvement, faire le développement qui ont comme résultat le processus politique, ça veut dire les négociations de deux parties de Libye sur les conditions et sur la modalité de cessez-le-feu et sur la modalité de solution politique.
Merci, Peter. Je passe maintenant la parole à Lawrence. I'm not sure it's on Libya, but I don't think there are any other.
No, it isn't.
Perhaps it is. I don't know. Go ahead.
It isn't, Eric. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Lawrence. Hi.
Great. Hey, thanks a lot. It's on China, so if you have other Libya questions.
No, I think we can move on to
We've
China.
exhausted that. Great. Okay, just back to the infamous EU-China editorial. You said last night that Brussels had spoken with the ambassador in China. Can you now explain what his reasons were for not checking with the EU or with the other national embassies before accepting the change that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs imposed on the editorial? And can you talk us through, Eric, what the Commission or the EAS's reasons were for not taking action here on the ambassador? You know, I understand that he has significant experience, he's an expert, but this was a highly questionable editorial in the first place. Accepting the changes demanded looks like a pretty significant error of judgment, and not running it by Brussels or his counterparts looks like a pretty serious one.
Thanks, Lawrence. I will pass the floor to Virginie, since this is in the remit, obviously, of the EAS.
Thanks, Lawrence. Let me just point out for the benefit of all that the delegation has, in the meantime, issued a press release which clarifies in written and in greater details what I've said already on the matter yesterday. For those who haven't seen it, it's on the delegation website or delegation to China. Now, on your question as to consultations, there was no consultation, as I indeed told you yesterday, of headquarters, and there was no consultation either of member states prior to the decision was made to go ahead. This decision has been taken, as you know, with considerable reluctance and under time pressure. But on the member state in particular, I can tell you that immediately, and as soon as it was possible, the delegation informed member state on what happened and the reason for that.
Lawrence.
Yeah, can I come back?
Sure. Go ahead.
That's sure. I mean, first of all, my second question in terms of why no action was taken, it would be good to have that addressed.
Yes.
But also, Virginie, I mean, is your answer to the first question there essentially the ambassador did not have time to consult? Is that what we're saying here?
What I'm saying is that the decision was taken under time pressure. One thing that I've also told you yesterday is that the decision was not the right one to take. This is what I can say on this matter. On the ambassador or we feel about the ambassador and the kind of decision that or could be taken or have not been taken, I would say remind that the EU ambassador Nicolas Chapuis is on a diplomatic assignment in China for the 6th time, is an outstanding expert of China and is a true asset for the European External Action Service.
Thank you.
I would,
Lawrence.
if I may, I would only wonder if he's there for the 6th time, why he hadn't learned to show better judgment, but perhaps that's an observation, not a question.
I think we can agree on that. Thanks, Lawrence. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on China? Patricia, you have your hand raised. I don't know if it's for that.
Sorry.
Okay, then let's move to Tommaso. On another subject, I believe. Go ahead, Tommaso.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good morning. Thanks for the floor. It's a question on competition, actually, because I just want to, I mean, in Italy, there are a lot of concerns about for the possible entry of the state in the capital of private enterprises, because it might be possible under the renewed temporary state aid framework for the state to enter in the capital of private enterprises, and there are a lot of concerns about this. I wonder if the Commission has anything to say about this risk, because
Before Ariane answers the question, I just want to make one thing clear. When I answered Lawrence your last comment, I said we agree that it's an observation, not necessarily with the content of the observation, but with the fact that you were not asking a question. I just want to make that clear. Go ahead, Ariane.
So, hi, Tommaso. As you know, we are indeed have been consulting member states on the possibility to recapitalize companies under the state aid temporary framework. We have also been consulting them on the possibility to grant subordinated debt, just for completeness of information. We are still assessing the comments, and I cannot prejudge any timing or outcome of this assessment. What I can say is that indeed in the proposal sent to member states, there are a number of safeguards foreseen for balancing the risk associated with the member states entering into the capital of companies. So there will be, for example, in the proposal, there is the possibility for the state to be sufficiently remunerated for the risk it assumes. It requires member states to develop an exit strategy, in particular from large companies, and a number of other measures in this sense. So the Commission is aware of the distortions of competition that might be as a consequence of recapitalization, and is taking them into account in the proposal made.
Thank you. Okay, The only hand raised that I see is from Lawrence. But Lawrence, do you have a question on competition?
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I see no further hands raised. Yes? Hans. Sorry, I can't see you on my list, but we will pass you the floor. I'm not quite sure who we're... Hans van der Burchardt, yes. Hans, is it on competition? No, we cannot. You do not seem to be hearing us. Tommaso, I still see your hand raised. You have another question on another subject?
Yes, if I may, it's also on competition.
Ah, okay. Go ahead then. Sorry.
It's still for Arianna. Sorry for that.
No problem.
It's about Alitalia, if I may, because I've read in the Italian press this morning that the government has plans to recapitalize the company with 3 billion euro and to refocus the company on large and on longer haul distances. And I just wonder if the Commission thinks that it is feasible within the temporary state aid framework to give so much money to Alitalia. Thank you so much.
So, Tommaso, on your specific question, I fear I have no comment. More generally, the Commission is very well aware of the difficult situation that the aviation sector is facing due to the coronavirus outbreak. EU stated rules enable member states to support companies affected by this outbreak, including those active in the aviation sector. And we are working with Italy as well as with other member states to discuss possibilities to support aviation sector in line with EU rules.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tommaso. If I could ask you to unraise your hand. I do not see anybody else. Ah, I see David. David, is it on competition?
Oui, c'est sur Alitalia. Merci Eric et bonjour.
Bonjour.
Arianna, est-ce que vous direz que l'argent annoncé par le ministre hier, donc au moins 3 milliards d'euros, correspond aux dommages subis par la compagnie à cause du coronavirus?
Comme j'ai dit, je ne peux pas commenter sur les cas spécifiques, donc je n'ai pas de commentaires sur ça.
Merci. Je ne vois pas d'autres mains. Ah si, pardon. Si, elles apparaissent. Alors, nous allons passer à Griselda.
C'est pas sur la concurrence.
Alors, attends une seconde. Anna, is it on competition? Anna Vandensky? No, she's disappeared. Griselda, tu as la parole alors.
Merci beaucoup. C'était sur Calrouge, excuse-moi. C'est que le tribunal européen vient de faire une communication de presse pour préciser bien qu'il est la seule institution pour juger qui, pour préciser, établir qui suit ou pas la loi européenne. Et cela dit, j'aimerais savoir, est-ce que ça peut devenir sujet d'une procédure par infraction contre l'Allemagne?
Je m'excuse, mais je n'ai pas conscience de ce communiqué de presse que tu viens d'évoquer. Et de manière générale, nous avons dit mercredi que nous étions en train d'analyser le jugement de la Cour constitutionnelle allemande de la semaine dernière, du milieu de cette semaine, et que nous étions encore en train de faire cette analyse, une analyse détaillée, puisque cet avis fait plus de 100 pages, que nous reviendrons sur le sujet une fois que l'analyse est faite. Pour l'instant, je n'ai rien d'autre à ajouter. Je crois comprendre que ce communiqué de presse est sorti il y a 3 minutes, donc nous n'avons absolument pas eu le temps d'en prendre connaissance. Désolé.
Merci. Écoute, Eric, je me suis branchée en pétard. Je ne sais pas si vous avez parlé de la proposition française pour le budget et pour le fonds de récupération. Mais sinon, j'aimerais savoir si ça vous aide que les États membres, dans cette longue période d'impasse, je sais pas, de pause, présentent des propositions.
Je crois que depuis le début de la crise, tout ce qui nourrit le débat est positif. C'est par la confrontation des idées et des propositions que l'on peut, au bout du compte, tracer une route qui nous permettra de sortir de la crise. Cela dit, il y a des points d'inflexion importants. Nous avons eu les décisions prises par l'Eurogroupe il y a quelques semaines, puis le mandat qui a été donné par les chefs d'État et de gouvernement à la Commission de venir avec sa proposition d'instruments de relance et de modification de la proposition du cadre financier pluriannuel. Et tout ce qui permet de nourrir ce travail est bien entendu le bienvenu, même si la Commission garde ses prérogatives sur base de ce mandat pour formuler la proposition qui lui semble la plus adéquate.
Vous n'avez pas de date encore, formellement?
Nous n'avons pas encore de date. J'en reste à ce que je t'ai dit et ce que j'ai dit à tes collègues depuis maintenant plusieurs semaines. La présidente avait annoncé la 2e ou la 3e semaine du mois de mai comme date cible, tout en précisant bien que cela dépendrait évidemment de l'avancée des travaux et des contacts qu'elle aura sur ce sujet, tant en interne qu'en externe, étant donné la complexité de la matière. Donc, nous restons tous attentifs, comme vous, et j'espère pouvoir vous annoncer une date, bien entendu, rapidement.
Merci.
Merci à toi. Okay, I only see one hand raised for the moment, so Anna, we move to you.
All right, thank you very much. I suppose I have a question to Virginie because it's on Africa and foreign affairs.
Okay.
So I hope that she's still present.
Of course.
My question is about the loom. Yes, thank you. My question is about the looming crisis in Ethiopia because Tigray region disagrees with postponement of the elections, general elections, and they don't want to respect the new recommendations on pandemic sanitary norms. So my question is, what's the position of the European Commission? Because peace in this region is very fragile.
Anna, you are referring to the Tigray region, right?
Anna, can you specify?
Yes, Tigray region.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Well, first let me say. Oui, Anna.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let me first say a few things in general on the elections in Ethiopia, and the fact actually that, recalling that we are a committed and reliable partner of Ethiopia, and we obviously attach great importance to the stability and unity of the country, which is actually crucial for the whole of the Horn of Africa. So we have been following very closely the latest political developments in the country, and we have taken note of the swift decision of the House of People's Representatives to ask constitutional interpretation on the postponement of the elections. We encourage and support inclusive and comprehensive dialogue between all political parties at federal and at regional levels in order to organize the next election in a coordinated way. Let me remind that we actually intend to deploy, as European Union, an election observation mission for the general elections. So, of course, in this context, we will pay specific attention to the conditions of the organization of the elections throughout the electoral process. Now, more specifically on the Tigray region, we have taken note of the declaration of the Tigray's People Liberation Front to hold election in the regional state of Tigray. Our delegation on the ground in Addis Ababa has regular contacts with the Tigray's People Liberation Front and is seeking actually clarifications on this declaration. And then let me remind that the possibility for Ethiopian regional states to hold elections separately from the general federal elections is still something that is being debated in the country by legal and constitutional experts. But again, as I said, the European Union encourages and supports inclusive and comprehensive dialogue between political parties, all of them, and at both levels, national and regional.
Thank you, Virginie. Any other question on this? No, I do not see any other question. Tomasz Bielecki, you're asking for the floor. Go ahead.
Yes, it's Tomasz Bielecki of Gazeta Wyborcza and Deutsche Welle. I have a question on Poland and rule of law to Christian, I think. The ECJ a month ago requested from Poland to inform European Commission until today on measures taken to implement the interim measure, the suspension of the disciplinary chamber of the Supreme Court. So my question is whether the European Commission has received the information from Poland, and moreover, despite of having or not having received it, what is the European Commission assessment of the implementation of this decision of the ECJ taken given a month ago?
Yes, hi, Thomas. According to the order of the European Court of Justice, Poland needs to report to the Commission on the implementation of the order within a month, which is the end of today. So far, we have not received the report, but as I said, the end of the deadline is only at the end of today.
So watch this space. Okay, I just want to come back to Griselda. Griselda, I'm sorry, I had misunderstood your first question. Not that I'm going to be able to add much, but I had understood that you had said that the German Constitutional Court had come out with a press statement, whereas in fact you were referring to a press statement from the European Court of Justice reaffirming, from what I understand, its exclusive competence in determining the primacy of EU law, which makes things much clearer and indeed corresponds to what we have been saying in our comments on this matter over the past days. Okay, I see no further questions for us today. So thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy the 9th of May celebrations and see you on Monday.
Nice weekend.